meeting, and welcome to the regularly scheduled BZA for the city.
Recording in progress.
Oh, so let's start over. Welcome to the regularly monthly meeting of the BZA. The BZA are volunteers and receive no compensation. We are appointed by the City Commission for staggered 3-year terms. Under state statutes, the BZA hears 3 types of appeals: dimensional or non-use variances, including sign variances, use variances, and appeals of interpretation or rulings of the building official and or other boards regarding any provision of the ordinance. Tonight we have 4 dimensional appeals. Under state statute, the appellant must show a practical difficulty complying with the dimensional requirements of the ordinance. It requires 4 affirmative votes. We have 6 tonight, 6 board members, so that's 4 out of 6. And as I mentioned, all the cases tonight are dimensional. Our procedures are as follows. All comments are to be addressed to myself, the chair. Please wait to be recognized. The city staff first will make a presentation regarding the appeal and take questions from the board members. Then the appellate is invited to present their case. Only one person may speak on behalf of any particular appeal. I can grant exceptions in the case of technical items that we may request, like engineering or architecture. Members of the public are then invited to come forward, identify themselves, and provide their comments to the board. Sometimes that's done by Zoom. The hearing is then closed, and motions from the board are then entertained and acted upon. In all cases, this is not a popularity contest. Granting or denying a variance is based substantially on the appellant meeting their burden of proof. Can we please call the roll of the board members?
Eric Morganwell.
Here.
Your mic is way up.
Jason Jefferson.
Here.
Kevin Hart.
Here.
Carl Conan.
Here.
Richard Lilly.
Here.
John Miller. Ron Reddy.
Here.
Victoria Polachikio. Susan Shackett.
So as I mentioned, we have 6 board members, and it does require 4 affirmative votes to receive your variance. I'll call the roll of the applicants. Do we have someone here for 400 Westchester?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have someone here for 1788 Bowers?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have someone here for 488 Willets?
Yes.
Thank you. And do we have someone here for 1573 Chesterfield? I don't see anybody here for Chesterfield. Well, it's the last case, so hopefully they'll show up in the next 45 minutes. If not, we will have to vote on postponing. Do we have additional correspondence, gentlemen? I saw 3 of them.
No, you have everything in front of you.
And everyone's received those. Have the appellants received copies also?
Yes, yes, they have.
Gentlemen, before you have the minutes from the last regularly scheduled meeting. Do we have any corrections or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. I see a second for Mr. Kona. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved without correction. Our first appeal tonight is Appeal 2610 for 400 Westchester Way. Looks like Andrew's presenting.
Thank you. Andrew Erickson here to present appeal number 26-10. The owner of the property known as 400 Westchester Way requests the following variance for an already constructed rear yard pergola and TV wall. Variance A. Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.6.1 of the zoning ordinance requires that the maximum lot coverage is 30% of the lot in the residential zones. The required maximum amount of lot coverage is 30%, or 2,354.40 square feet. The existing is 34.10%, or 2,367 square feet. The proposed is 37.33%, or 29.30 square feet, therefore a variance of 7.33%, or 775.60 square feet is being requested. The applicant is looking to construct a rear yard pergola with a TV wall.
So Andrew, the current home is existing non-conforming, so it's already over lot coverage.
Correct.
Is that because the ordinance changed, or did they receive a variance, or how did that happen?
There were no variances, just it's an older home.
Older home. And so the request for this pergola then requires us to also approve the nonconformity of the home,
The additional overage, correct.
because any change to the property, even if this is a pergola. So we can't approve the pergola without approving the home, basically putting it into compliance.
Correct.
Very good. Other questions? Mr. Reddy?
Andrew, I don't understand the first sentence here. It says, request the following variance for an already constructed rear yard pergola and TV wall? Is that,
It was built without a permit.
okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mr. Canvaser, sir.
I always need a refresher when it comes to these pergolas. Is it the roof, because this one says it's open, that creates that structure, or is it the fact that it's the
It has
covered
structure on it.
structure?
It's the structure on the ground.
Okay, and is this a pergola? Like, when I think of a pergola, I think of, like, 4 posts, and it's, it covers the kitchenette or whatever. This, at least from the drawing, seemed more of like a fireplace patio with a TV wall. I'm just trying to understand from
Well,
the
it does
drawings
have the
what's
4
there.
posts, and the perimeter of it has the structure.
Has slats, right?
Okay, so,
The sides are outlined. I believe the top of it is open.
okay, so let's back up here. 4 posts, basically a patio, a wall with a fireplace, it looks like, in a TV. If they take away those 4 posts, does this require a variance?
I would say that the TV wall would be a structure, and it still would require a variance.
Okay, it would just be a lesser variance.
It would be a lesser.
Okay.
So following up with that question, if there's other questions, if they had the TV on a stand that could be pulled in the winter, they wouldn't need a variance for that.
No.
Very good. Other questions? Seeing none? Who's speaking on behalf of this appeal?
Thank you. My name is Trey Bryce. I'm an attorney with the firm of Taft, Stenius, and Hollister. I'm here representing Adam and Marissa Wolf, who are here. We also have the designer, Matt Mosier, here that's here. And I appreciate your beginning questions, because that's kind of wraps into the thought and the approach that we've got here. As it was mentioned, the as existing house, which was that way when the Wolves purchased it, has a 34.1%
I'm sorry, did you say the address that you practice?
Oh, I'm sorry. So we're for the Wolves House at 400 Westchester.
No, about you, you're an attorney. You're-
Sorry, so our office address is 27777 Franklin Road, Southfield, Michigan.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's fine. Didn't think anyone was concerned where my office was. And so it's already pre-existing at the 34.1%. So we're really, though it is a encompassing variance, the request itself is a smaller request of 3%. And the reality, which gets to the questions that you were asking, the pergola is open air, and it's a 0.3% increase just from those posts of the coverage. The patio is separate. It's not covered in this part of the ordinance, and it is otherwise acceptable under the city's ordinance. As I said, we're just proposing to erect this decorative trellis pergola, the TV wall. And as I mentioned, it's 24 additional square feet. But the ordinance treats it, though open air, as if it's a roof and a hard structure. And that's where the extra 257 square feet that is required. But 257 square feet, as I mentioned, 233 of that is actually air. To grant the variance, you have the standards of review that I'll kind of go through. And the first is that the strict application of the ordinance unreasonably prevents the Wolves from using their property as they would like to. As it's an open air lattice. It doesn't increase the impervious surface to the ground. It doesn't alter the drainage or the runoff, because it isn't an impervious addition. And it doesn't impact the neighbors, as it's with any sort of runoff increased drainage problems or things like that. That leads right into there isn't any negative impact to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, the neighbors, the wolves. It promotes the use of the outdoor space, promotes the use and enjoyment of the backyards, consistent with how we all hope to use our backyards, and had the big uptick as you guys remember, post-COVID, everybody who had to do something, we all started using our outdoor spaces more. It meets all of the other zoning requirements. And because it's an open air as opposed to a covered structure, there isn't any danger of a negative precedent that people run in here and start building all kinds of extra structures on their properties. It can be distinguished. The strict enforcement of the ordinance creates an undue hardship. And again, all of these points it's repetitive because it repeats throughout, is that we're talking about 24 square feet of new coverage. That's it, 0.3% of additional coverage on the lot. And through that, it doesn't violate the intent and the spirit of the surface, the lot coverage, because it is an impervious. This is a minimal impervious addition. It limits, so it doesn't impact the runoff, as we mentioned. There's no real visual impact. It's not a massing problem of a new real structure, which is what the ordinance is set to create. And many communities, surrounding communities, perhaps you've started to look into them, mine in particular, changed the ordinance to properly reflect what these trellis pergolas are and the impact that they have and don't have to the properties. It's not a self-created situation in the fact that the house was purchased at the overage at the 34.1, and looking at it, the way the ordinance is interpreted, understandingly how it was directed, but it's an overreaching sort of application because it's treating it as if we've got these hard roof surfaces, and the reality is that's not there. The variance will create substantial justice for the situation, and for the interpretation for others is that a reasoned application shows that it meets the intent of the ordinance. It'll allow the wolves to use their property consistent with the way lots of other properties around here use it. I mean, we've done a study, and there are 100+ properties west side of Woodward with similar lot sizes that have a house and have these outdoor pergola trellis structures that create the same situation that we're here with the wolves today. Either they came in and were granted variances, or they were built without approval, and there hasn't been city enforcement to them. So the fair and consistent way in treatment, as opposed to a selective enforcement, would be to look at this in the realistic manner that this should be a granted variance. That through all of that, it shows that there's a practical difficulty that's not created by the wolves, as the proposal features only a minor 0.3% additional coverage. It follows the intent of the ordinance. It allows the use of outdoor space. It meets the other ordinance zoning standards and fairness based on the use throughout the neighborhood. And the city really dictates that that the variance should be approved. So we would respectfully request a variance to the lot coverage to allow the 24 extra square feet, the 0.3%, go through all the numbers because you've got to have them, which then that actually is an additional 257 square feet, or 3.2% for the new proposal that is coming, adding to the house, because it's a conjunctive, would add 576.6 square feet, or 7.33% additional coverage. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a question again, Andrew. So I know we've had trellises come in front of us before. And again, this is a home that's existing non-conforming, so it's already over lot coverage. Some of the homes you may have referenced with trellises may not have been over the lot coverage. So of course they're allowed to have it because the city sees it as structure. But I remember us asking the city in the past, so if you take off the vertical slats on a trellis, and you only had 4 posts, I thought, my understanding was the 4 posts would be okay. Is it because they're connected on the 4 sides, you think, that differentiates this scenario? And the wall. But
we've always looked at the whole thing as structure. I mean,
so even if there's 4 posts and you have flags on those 4 posts, are we considering that structure?
I mean, 4 posts,
Yeah, then you get into it being a fence. Fences are only allowed to go 6 foot, and then this is
Right.
at 10 foot, so it's
Right.
kind of that.
So I appreciate your approach, and you hear how we've already tried to break it down, because we have had many trellises come into the city that have asked for variances. Either they've been built and now they're coming in after the fact, or they're asking ahead of time, and it's about lot coverage, right? Whether it has a roof or it doesn't have a roof, you're simply choosing something that doesn't fit on the lot based on the ordinance. It doesn't really matter how open air it is. The city sees it, and we're not creating the ordinance, right? We're here to say what's unique about this situation. As well as you have an existing non-conforming home, and now you're adding to that non-conformity. So that's a challenge for me. And then, with one wall up, let's call it one wall of a structure, how do you defend the idea that you don't see it as structure, but with a TV wall, it's really a one-sided, it's got a vertical component to it.
It does have the vertical component to it, you're correct. But I would take the opposite position, that I do believe the fact that there isn't a roof and it isn't covered, that's really what we're getting into for true lot coverage.
But there's something vertical, so is it a fence? Is it a wall? If it's a wall, what is it a wall to? Something's holding up that wall. Like, again, we don't create the ordinance. We're trying to find what's unique about this situation. I haven't heard you say anything that's unique about the property, unique about the topography, unique about, your client's situation, not that their personal situation impacts our decision, but I'm trying to see, we have people that come in that have been denied trellises. We have people that come in that want to exceed their lot coverage that have been denied. So what's unique here that we would be, because you say, let's be consistent, right? The consistency for us is everyone else has been denied for exceeding lot coverage or for having what the city perceives as structure. So how do we get around that perception? What's unique here?
Well, I guess there's two parts of this, and I would go back to, is I do think that the way that the ordinance is being applied is ineffective and unfair to homeowners across the city. And because the intent of lot coverage is very clear, that it's massing drainage, runoff ability for that's water to stay on the property, and this doesn't affect that. So I do think that is unique. Whether it's been looked at is one thing or the other. The other is that that there are. I don't believe. I mean, with these properties that we're talking about, the hundreds that we've gone out and found are very similar. Lot size, house size. So the only way to have those the trellis pergolas in their backyard, or either they were granted a variance or the city isn't enforcing the fact that they were done without permits.
Or the trellis patio structure meets their lot coverage. That's the other option.
No, it's possible. What I'm saying is, looking at it, that does not appear to be the fact, but it absolutely it could be true.
Right. Mr. Counselor.
Yeah. I guess this is a question either for you or the city, but I see on the drawings that there are at least 3 points where existing walk or pavers, it looks like, are being reduced. Does that factor in? I guess I'm just going to the city first.
not for the structure calculation, no, that would just be the impervious.
Okay, so they're mitigating the impervious surface by removing some of the bricks and paver and putting grass in its place, but it doesn't get into the, I'm just looking back at the,
Yeah, I don't think they're asking for a variance for.
right, because we're talking about, no, I was just looking at that because it was called out on the drawings, and usually there's a reason when
Right,
it's
yeah.
called out on the drawings, so. Okay, all right, I just wanted to clarify that.
Other questions?
Is the north side of the trellis structure, I guess you would call it the beam that supports the open joists above, between that north face and the south face of the garage, is that all grass there between those two structures? What's there? It says existing garden posts, and looks like there appears to be a fence between the,
That's all been removed.
I'm sorry?
That's been removed.
Oh, okay. But is that grass surface there? Is it sod? Is it additional pavers? If you look on the site plan between,
Right here.
yeah, right in that area, thank you. Mr. Erickson? Yeah, I'm just curious.
There is some paving there, and an outdoor hot tub.
Okay.
Any other questions for the appellant?
I guess just the intent of removing the 80 square feet of pavers, was that to help sell the idea of the lot coverage and the drainage issue?
I mean, it would roll into some of the drainage issue, but the lot coverage and structure coverage are two different parts of the.
Yes, I realize
Yeah.
that, but there's
That
two.
was
there are two,
just meeting those
There are two
requirements in
goals, in my
general.
opinion, the ordinance, those are two goals by the city that we're really trying to control. With structural coverage and pervious coverage, we're trying to do the same thing, trying to make sure the lots.
Yeah, and the reduction was to meet those requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the appellant? Mr. Reddy?
Counselor, excuse me, I'm not quite clear about this. It's in the lower left-hand corner of the drawing, it says existing trellis. What exactly is that structure? Is that what that means right there? The lower left-hand, right where the hand is at?
That's the structure.
Yeah, remember, it's
That's-
already been
okay.
built, so
All
it's
right.
existing.
That wasn't, it said existing, so I was just trying to figure that out. Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Counselor, for your
Thank you.
time. In the audience or on Zoom, anybody who would like to comment on this particular appeal that is not affiliated with this appeal? Jeff, you see anything?
I see.
We have a hand.
One just put their hand up.
Oh, there we go. Can we unmute that person? I think the name was Jason, wasn't it?
Yeah, top left on my screen.
Yeah, let me get the speaker.
He's unmuted. We got two hands.
Hello, sir. I think it's Jason. Could you please tell us your name, where you're Zooming from, and then tell us your thoughts about this appeal? Can you hear us? I don't see this art gallery.
I see two hands up. Why don't you go to, there's a Timothy Murphy that looks like they want to talk.
Let's switch over then.
We can come back.
Jason Tamaroff, can you hear us?
Oh, Timothy Murphy's off of.
Let's.
Mr. Murphy, can you hear us?
I can. Do you have me?
Yes, if you could just tell us your address where you're Zooming from and your thoughts about this appeal.
Yes, 540 Berwyn.
Thank you.
So I'm 3 streets west of the subject property. I do support the Wolves. When I think of, additional backyard structures, I think of impaired sightlines or flooding concerns to the neighbor's property, and I'm just not hearing that here. It seems that fairness dictates granting the variance.
Very good. We appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
One last chance to go back to Jason.
Oh, no, I have another hand.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, Jason. If you could just tell us your full name and where you're Zooming from.
So, Jason Tamaroff, I live at 510 Westchester Way, and I'm zooming from home. So I live a couple doors down from the Wolves. I can tell you that the afternoon sun is just unbearable in the backyards because of the power lines. The trees have to be cut very low, and just the afternoon sun just crushes you. And so the only really option to have a livable backyard is to have a lot of umbrellas. And so personally, I think the umbrellas are very ugly. I have no issues with having a trellis system that can be opened and closed. It seems like they've kind of mitigated the runoff and the water issues. And then it seems like, someone had already said that the fact that they're allowed to have a TV there, if it was on a stand and it was removed, in the winter or whatever, whether or not the TV is on a wall frankly, probably is more aesthetically pleasing for both everyone around instead of looking at some ugly, post. So I guess bottom line is I fully support the Wolves.
Very good. We appreciate your feedback.
Two more. Megan Hart?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Megan. Please tell us your name. Well, we have your name, but tell us your name and your address, and then let us know your thoughts about this appeal.
Yep, my name is Megan Parker. I'm zooming from 300 Westchester Way, which is just a couple houses down from the Wolves. And I'm also here in support of the structure. The points Jason makes are exactly right. Our backyards are almost unusable in the summer, especially because of the sun. So I think the structure would be a great enhancement to the neighborhood. And again, to also echo Jason's second point, the other discussions about having a TV on a stand that really would be an eyesore. An open air pergola is not going to create any drainage issues, and it's going to be more aesthetically pleasing and an enhancement to the neighborhood. So I fully support it.
Very good. We appreciate your feedback.
All right, we have Cody Williams looks next.
Cody unmuted?
Can we unmute Cody Williams?
Yeah, it looks like he was. Now he remuted.
There he goes.
Mr. Williams, would you like to speak? Let us know your name, your address, and what your thoughts are on this appeal.
Cody Williams. I live at 386 Westchester, directly adjacent to the Wolves on the north side. I just wanted to say that their rear yard project is absolutely beautiful. It does nothing but add to the value of not only their home, but to the neighborhood. This project doesn't in any way negatively impact our property, nor are we concerned about any drainage, storm drainage, or runoff onto our property. This is the type of backyard that you would expect to see if you were going to purchase a home in Birmingham. And my wife and I feel that denying this request for variance, and it sounds like it's just 0.3%, would be a real injustice and only be a negative for the city of Birmingham. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. Anyone else?
We have somebody under the name iPhone.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're unmuted. If you could tell us your name, your address, and what your thoughts are on this appeal.
Hello, this is Joe Durham, 421 Arlington Street. I'm familiar with the structure, familiar with the backyard. I think it's a wonderful structure. It fits in with the neighborhood very nicely, adds value to properties in the area. Very tastefully done, well executed, so I'm fully in support.
Very good, sir. Thanks for your comments.
We have Katie Hebden.
Katie, you're unmuted. Would you like to tell us your name, your address, and your thoughts on this appeal?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Okay, this is Katie Hebden. I live at 415 Westchester, so just across the street from the Wolves. And I also support their project. I think it's going to enhance the neighborhood and looks really pretty, so fully in support of the trellis structure.
Very good. Thanks for your feedback.
I don't see any other hands.
Seeing nobody else in the audience or on Zoom, we will close public comments. Just my general comment, and I appreciate all the neighbors being in support, and I don't know that I personally think that it's an unattractive structure. The criteria for us to make a determination is not whether we think it adds value to the property or whether or not it does or doesn't impact water flow or impervious. It's simply what is the ordinance? And the burden to the appellant is to provide a reason why they can't meet the ordinance. And we have to look at all the different structures that come into the city. And again, we don't create the ordinance of what is or isn't structure. We are only here to look at individual appeals. But we don't have the ability to make that determination that something is or isn't a structure. We have the ordinance that defines it. Only what's unique about this property that would justify exceeding allowable structure on the property with an existing non-conforming home and then this particular structure. And the questions we asked the city were proposing scenarios where maybe there'd be some version of this that wouldn't require a variance. But, and I appreciate everybody in support of their neighbor, because that's what Birmingham is. Gentlemen, do we have any comments or motions on this particular appeal? Mr. Conisar.
Well, I unfortunately agree with what you're saying.
Can we start with some motions and then have a conversation?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to make a motion for Appeal 2610 to deny the variance. I was looking for a hardship to find something to hang my hat on for this this motion, and I really didn't see it. We've yet to approve a trellis on anything that's come in for a variance, because I've yet to see a reason or a hardship for this circumstance. And it's unfortunate this one was already built. But because there are no special conditions on this property that require this, I'm going to ask to deny this. There is no hardship that I've been shown or explained. The granting of this variance is really contrary to the ordinance, the way it's spelled out, and it is going to result in substantial injustice, because many people have tried to get variances, and if we approve this one, it would be an injustice to the others that have been approved. So I make a motion to deny this variance.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Very good, Mr. Reddy. Any comments? Please.
I am not going to support the motion. These pergolas are really, they're not issue. We're putting a square peg in a round hole here. I know we've denied a lot of them. We've denied as-built ones. We've denied proposed ones. We still have to look at them on a case-by-case basis. We've seen proposals with opening and closing roofs and giant kitchens and, full-on, utilities of every kind here. To me, this is a whole lot less imposing. We don't have a roof. We don't have a giant kitchen. We have a little bit of a wall where, if we even want to call that, it's really, it's a TV structure with a fireplace, which, if you take these posts down, I mean, you still can create a sense, you can still create the same thing without a variance. But at the same time, I think that's all the more reason why this is so unimposing. And I think we're talking about such a minor amount here that in this specific case, I can get behind this request. So I cannot approve the motion as proposed.
Any other comments? Mr. Hurt.
I kind of wish the appellant had kind of gone through the process ahead of time. It makes it difficult when something's already built, to turn things down. But I would agree with Mr. Canvasser. I think there are, if you go along Westchester Way, there are several I don't know if they're high powered, but they're higher powered overhead lines that run along the west property line that go north from Lincoln all the way to Maple. And the trees have been, over the years, with the weather and icing that we've had trouble with, they've been decimated. I mean, there's hardly any shade in the western sun. So I see that as sort of a hardship, I think. And I think there's very little effect on neighboring properties. So I think substantial just to the neighboring properties would be fine the way it's proposed. So I will not support the motion as well.
So I will support the motion. I think there's a lot going on here. We have turned down many trellises, some with slats. This one doesn't have that, which in my mind is a benefit. My problem is we have a wall, and the wall to me is a partial structure. And we have a home that's existing non-conforming, and one of the goals of our community is to not contribute to nonconformities. And because we didn't create the ordinance, and the ordinance calls this structure to add more structure to a non-conforming lot would contradict the intent of the ordinance, as well as not do substantial justice to all the people that have come in front of us with only trellises and 4 posts that have been denied, and now they're going to look at this particular case and say, well, I want to appeal this, or I want to take the city of Birmingham to circuit court because now they're approving them, they didn't approve mine. And if we're inconsistent with our judgment, then we are unreasonable to the community as a whole. Now, that doesn't mean the city commission can't look at this particular ordinance and change it, and I think they're reviewing that now, the overall community ordinances, and this may be something they should look at. But to arbitrarily approve this without any practical difficulty, without any hardship, without any reasoning, and a structure that was built without permitting in the first place, I think would absolutely contradict the ordinance as well as not provide substantial justice to the neighbors. So for that reason, I'll support the motion. We have a motion to deny. Can we please call the roll?
Carl Kuna,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser,
No.
Kevin Hart,
No.
Richard Lilly,
No.
Eric Morgenroth.
Yes. So that's 3-3. So that means the motion fails, correct?
The motion fails because it didn't get 4 affirmative votes.
Right, we didn't get 4, right.
But,
So now we need a new motion.
but that's going to fail as well because we're deadlocked.
It's true. Well, who knows? Let's make the motion and see what happens. Maybe someone's going to change their.
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
In regard to Appeal 2610 for the property at 400 Westchester Way, I would move to approve the variance and tie it to the plans. I believe here the request is minimum. We've heard some practical difficulties relative to the sun, to the minimum impact. We do believe there's some special conditions applicable to the property. Little enforcement of the chapter will result in an unnecessary hardship in the fact that they can't fully use their backyard for its really design purpose, enjoyment. The granting of the variance will not be contrary to the spirit and purpose of the zoning ordinance. We've heard from a number of neighbors here, and while this isn't a popularity contest, they're all in favor of this. And so I think, the public certainly has spoken out that they're in favor of it. So I do not think the granting of the variance would be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare, and also for that reason would result in substantial justice to the property owners and the general public.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. So we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, can we call the roll for approval?
Jason Canvaser,
Yes.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Morgenroth,
No.
Ron Ready,
No.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Carl Kuna.
No.
So I think I don't know that we've ever, in all the
No,
years
we
I've been on the board, I don't think we've ever had a
four. We don't
deadlock.
have 4, so the appeal is not approved.
Right, but I don't know that, it doesn't mean that it can't come back with,
I think you have to have a substantial change to do that.
I think even if it's a tie, it's failed.
Still, you need 4.
Is it?
Yes. Which is why I said at the beginning, we have 6 members, so we only can get 6 votes, and we need 4 of the 6.
I understand that. I don't have my Roberts rules in front of me.
I mean, if their attorney can find a reason why they can come in for another appeal, my perception is a substantial change, like if the wall was removed, if something, but the appeal fails because they did not get 4 affirmative votes on the dimensional.
No, I agree with that. I don't know what the effect is as to whether or not they have to show a substantial change, whether or not they.
Yeah, they can work it out with
have
Jeff and the city
hearing,
and see
so,
what's.
Well, yeah, why don't we let the city and the applicant work that piece out?
We can do that.
Sorry. Our next case is case 2611 for 1788 Bowers. Thank you. Our pleasure. Good luck.
Andrew Erickson, here to present appeal number 2611. The owner of the property known as 788 Bowers requests the following variances to construct a second-story addition to an existing non-conforming home.
So you'll be called up if you're speaking on behalf of this, it'll be a minute.
Sure.
Thanks.
Variance A, Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 4.08.2 of the zoning ordinance requires no side yard setback shall be less than 5 feet. The existing is 4.80 feet, and the proposed is 4.80 feet. Therefore, a variance of 0.20 feet is being requested. Variance B, Chapter 126, Article 4, Section 4.74C of the zoning ordinance requires that each residential lot shall provide a minimum distance between principal residential buildings on adjacent lots of 14 feet or 25% of the total lot width, whichever is larger. The required is 14, the proposed is 10.90 feet, therefore a variance of 3.10 feet is being requested. The applicant is looking to construct a second-story addition to an existing non-conforming home.
So, Mr. Erickson, so the second floor that's being built is not exacerbating the current non-conformity, is that correct?
That's correct.
All the requests are existing non-conforming dimensions, and there's no change in those dimensions?
Correct.
Very good. Mr. Campbell, you had a question?
No, I was just going to ask if they're going straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah, okay.
Very good. Any other questions for the city? Seeing none? Your turn. You can probably use this one, it's better for...
How's that one better?
Yeah. Give us your name, your address, and then tell us why you believe this variance is justified.
My name is Dirk Moore. My address is 2486 Little Tell Ave, West Bloomfield. And I'm speaking on behalf of Christine and Joaquin Frias. So we'd like to construct second story, and we're not exacerbating the non-compliance in any way. We feel the practical hardship in my mind is that if we were to build a conforming structure, that the second story would be 3 feet offset from the outside walls, which structurally doesn't make a lot of sense. We like all the loads to stack up on the perimeter walls. We don't feel we're introducing any sort of an eyesore. There's a lot of other structures on the street that have done second story additions, so no grossly dissimilar architecture. We're not introducing any new runoff or anything like that, same roof size and dimensions. So that's kind of where we stand. I don't know if I missed anything.
Any questions for the appellant? Seeing none, thank you.
Thanks.
In the audience or online, anybody have any comments about this particular appeal that would like to present them to our board?
I do not see anybody.
Seeing none and no hands in the audience, we will close public comment. Board members.
Mr. Chair,
Sir.
I'd like to make a motion with regards to 1788 Bowers, Appeal 26-11. I would move to approve both variance request A and variance request B and tie them to the plans. This is a pre-existing non-conforming home dating back to the mid-50s. We've seen many of these in the past. The homeowner has a right to add an addition. They're not further exacerbating the already existing nonconformity for a home that was built long before our current zoning variances. I do think that there's enough special conditions applicable to this property that the variance should be granted. Little enforcement of the chapter of this particular chapter would result in unnecessary hardship for the ownership owners, and it is not contrary, in my opinion, it's not contrary to the spirit and purpose of the zoning ordinance. And I think granting the variance would result in substantial justice to both the property owner and the neighbors. So for those reasons, Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve.
Very good. We have a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Mr. Canvasser. Any discussion? Seeing none, can we please call the roll to approve?
Ron Ready?
Yes.
Jason Canvasser?
Yes.
Kevin Hart?
Yes.
Carl Kona?
Yes.
Richard Lilly?
Yes.
Eric Warnerath?
Yes. Congratulations, you have your variance. Yeah, good luck. Our next case is 2614 for 488 Willits. This is the case that came in front of us previously.
Hi, Mike Morad here to appeal number 26-14. The owners of the property known as 488 Willits request the following variances to construct a new home with an attached garage. Variance A, Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.08.4 of the zoning ordinance requires a maximum midpoint roof height for a pitched roof in an R2 zoning district is 28 feet. inches for this property. The proposed midpoint is 37.48 feet. Therefore, a variance of 9.48 feet is being requested. Variance B, Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.08.4 of the zoning ordinance requires a maximum roof height for a flat roof in an R2 zoning district is 24.00 feet for this property. The proposed roof height is 32.46 feet. Therefore, a variance of 8.46 feet is being requested. Variance C, Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.08.4 of the zoning ordinance requires a maximum eave height for building in an R2 zoning district is 24.00 feet for this property. The proposed eave height is 32.46 feet. Therefore, a variance of 8.46 feet is being requested. The applicant is looking to construct a new home with an attached garage on a lot that slopes to the rear. A variance was granted for this in 2025. The minutes are attached. Okay. So, best way to look at this lot is going to be from the side view when we get here. Okay, 1 second. Let me scale this down a little bit here. Okay, so here you see the lot is sloping from the front down to the back. I'm going to blow this up here so you can see the dimensions. We have a 27.99 feet to the midpoint here in the front, which is right below the 28 feet. And for the flat roof, we have the eave height, and the flat roof, we have the 22.98 feet right here. Going to the rear, we have the 37.48 to the midpoint of the gable roof from the rear, and we have the 32.46 to the flat roof and the eave coming off the back. That's what's generating the variance.
So, Mike, our typical question on this lot, or this type of appeal is, if this lot were flat, would this house require any height variance?
No.
And this grade, that's the existing drop in grade, is a natural drop. It's not being forced or excavated or anything like that?
That's correct.
And am I correct to say that the previous approvals they had, the heights were actually higher and the variance request was greater?
That is correct. There is roughly a foot difference in the first variance and about a half a foot on the other two.
In favor of less variance?
Correct.
So why is it in front of us again?
When they turned the plans in for approval, there was some changes to the original approved plan that were up in this upper area here. Then you tied the original variance to the plans, and we felt the plans were different enough that they would warrant you guys having another look at them.
Very good. Mr. Canvaser, you had a question?
You asked it and it was answered, so I'm good, thank you.
You wanted me to be efficient?
I'm just going to add one thing, that it did go past the 1 year for the variance request.
So they would have needed it either way.
So that's why they're also in front of you.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Morad? Seeing none, who's speaking on behalf of this appeal?
Good evening, Jeff Klatt with Krieger Klatt Architects, 400 East Lincoln in Royal Oak. I'm also here with the developer and property owner, Armando Ibarra of A&G Design Build. And we do have a presentation. I probably don't have to run through it because I think, Mr. Chair, you kind of nailed all the various points. A very unique lot. We drop off, right? If the house was on a flat lot or had a little bit of topography to it, this would comply fully. We were here about a year ago, give or take, and we were granted approval for the 3 variance conditions, and now we're lessening them slightly. When we submitted before, they're always conceptual drawings before you come in front of the zoning board. So we're able to reduce our height a little bit. We also had conversations with our broker. Those habitable attics are very popular spaces, and I think we enlarged it slightly. That's what we did. It was about 584 square feet, I believe, before. I'm sorry, 489 square feet. We adjusted it to 856. It still complies, but just a little bit larger, so the configuration changed, and that's what I believe triggered the permit denial, which then triggered our 1 year ran out, then we had to come back. So we reduced our variance requests. They're nearly identical, just a little bit less, and we still have the same practical difficulty condition that exists. So we do have a presentation, but I think the conditions are already pretty clear. I just wanted to point out that.
Oh, God.
Oh, sorry, that it's not a fact that we sat idle. You know, we submitted for permits back in October of 2025. It's just the process. Engineering review comments came back, so we worked through that. It's not a bait and switch. The spirit of the house is still the same. We still meet the spirit of the ordinance. It's just we have a very tricky condition with the topography in the rear yard.
So you're saying Birmingham's very thorough and that process is taking a little time?
Yes, for sure. I mean, as well, we have a great building department, so we appreciate the feedback.
They're not voting on your.
I just wanted that on the record, by the way.
Believe me, I appreciate all they do.
That's for Jeff's birthday.
They're amazing. They help us through all of our projects. We appreciate it.
Any questions from anybody? Would you like to see the presentation, or do you have any questions? I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Any questions, we're more than happy to address them. Thank you for your time.
In the audience or online, anyone have a particular comment about this appeal?
We get one hand raised.
Can you unmute them?
Looks like we have a Rick Linnell.
Hi, Rick. This you're unmuted. Could you please tell us your name, your address, and your thoughts about this appeal?
Sure, I'm trying to undo my video block, but it's saying you cannot start your video because it is disabled by the host. Now, if you don't want to see my face, I can accept that, but is that intentional?
It is intentional. I'm not sure why, but we're good. It may affect our video quality if we have too many screens on.
Oh, no problem. Richard Linnell, 2804 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 203, Kego Harbor, Michigan, 48320. I'm here on behalf of Richard and Celeste Stewart. Their address is 520 Willits. And I'm here on their behalf in opposition to the requested variances. I have had the chance, of course, to hear what's been said about previous variances, but I don't think that eliminates the points that I want to make on behalf of my clients. First of all, an approval of these variances will alter the characteristics of the area. This home will be significantly taller than what is already there. The grading issue that's mentioned, I can't deny that I don't recognize that there's a change in grade, but it is a characteristic held by all of the homes in that area. My client's 2 doors away, but it's also 3 doors away, 4 doors away, etc. So it's not a unique situation to that particular lot. In addition, my understanding is if it's a variance are approved, grades can be altered. In other words, it's not part of the variance approval. The approval is you can be this many feet above the existing, or not the existing grade, but the finished grade, which is not always the same as the existing grade. I looked at the variances that were requested, and of course I can't deny that they are slightly less than before, but I would want to draw attention to the board that the fact that variance, I believe they refer to as variance A, is 34% more than what's permitted, the 28 feet. Variance B is 35% more than the 24 feet permitted. And variance C is 35% more than the 24 feet permitted. And so these are not insignificant variances that are being sought. And for those reasons, again, and the one I'd reiterate is it's going to change the character of the area. And my clients, Richard and Celeste, enjoy the area the way it is. They have a house. The houses are very nice. They may not be massive, but it does not change the fact that they're nice. And most importantly, there's an established character of the neighborhood, and that should remain. And granting these variances will, in fact, change the character of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Appreciate your feedback. I just want to confirm that if we provide variances based on specific heights that we are providing, then a substantial change in the grade would change those heights, and then this house would not be approved. So the manipulation of the grade or taking more dirt out or enhancing this walkout would be a contradiction to any approval that would be tied specifically to the heights that are being requested. And
also the plans in front of us.
Right, and the plans in front of us. So, but again, you can take that up with the city, concerns about grades and water flow. We're simply here to discuss the practical difficulty to build on a lot with a declining topography that is not, a topography that can't be changed by the person building the house because they can't change the grades in the city of Birmingham. And so this lot would either be unbuildable because it's a walkout, or you'd be forced to build a ranch, which isn't something the ordinance requires. So If the variance is approved, it is specifically due to the uniqueness of this lot, and yes, many lots around it on the Willets do have the same challenge. So any other comments from the audience and/or online, on Zoom? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Board members, do we have a motion? Please, Mr. Hart.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with regard to case number 2614 at 488 Willis, I propose, I want to make a motion to approve A, B, and C. I think that the appellant has demonstrated that this is a very challenging lot, and in further investigation, we have seen that there are other neighboring properties that are also in a non-conforming, if you were to do some studies on some of the neighboring properties, not necessarily on Willits, but on the east end of the property, east end of the park, you'll find that there are several homes that are also challenged by a significant slope. Special conditions to the property are demonstrated. The topography is very challenging, probably one of the steepest grade changes in the city. I think trying to force them for us to do a literal interpretation of the ordinance would be a severe hardship, and I think that the appellant has done a very good job of mitigating as much of the impact of, I think it's a very desirable structure, and I think that it is not contrary to the spirit. I think that it is in keeping with the spirit of the ordinance, and I would tie this motion to the documents that were provided.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Lee, second. Any comments about the appeal? Mr. Canvasser, sir.
Yeah, I'll approve it. I just want to add to the record the fact that if this was a flat lot, no variance would be requested. If we were at the front of the property, no variance would be requested. It's the slope and the fact that we're looking at the height from the rear, which is caused by that substantial slope, which is unique to this lot. And so I will support this variance because I supported it before for the same reasons that there is an unnecessary hardship due to unique circumstances here.
I will support the motion also. As I know that this height requirement is a height requirement in most or all of the city of Birmingham. So because this lot is on a walkout and because it's on Willits, it doesn't necessarily not deserve this, either builder and or homeowner deserve to be able to build what anybody else can build in the city. And they shouldn't have a unique height requirement simply because they have a walkout or a lot with declining topography. That would be unreasonable for the owner of the property. And I think many people on the street are commenting about the style or the character of the street. That isn't something that comes in front of the zoning board. We are simply here to talk about height requirements and the challenge of unique lots. So that can be addressed with the city commission, but not something that comes in front of us. We have a motion to approve. Can we call the roll?
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Warrenroth,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Jason Canvasser,
Yes.
Carl Kuna.
Yes.
Congratulations, you have your variance again.
Thank you very much for your time.
Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
So are you here for?
I'm the final request.
Oh, perfect. We have, our last appeal tonight is case 2615 for 1573 Chesterfield.
Okay.
And the city will present.
We're here to appeal number 26-15. The owner of the property known as 1573 Chesterfield requests the following variance to construct a new home with an attached garage on a corner lot. Variance A, Chapter 126, Article 4, Section 4.61A1 of the zoning ordinance requires a corner lot which on its side street in a abutting interior residential lot shall have a minimum setback from the side street equal to the minimum front setback for the zoning district in which such building is located. The requirement shall not reduce the buildable width of the lot to any less than 25 feet. The required setback is 83.06 feet. The proposed is 24.83 feet. Therefore, a variance of 58.23 feet is being requested. The applicant is looking to construct a new home with an attached garage on a corner lot, which abuts a lot in Bloomfield Township. This lot is the remaining lot of 3 that were separated in 2020. Okay. A second here. Taking so long, but, okay. Sorry about that.
You need hyperlinks on this thing.
Yeah, it was moving before faster. Okay, here we go. Let's scale this down a little bit too so we can see it. Okay. So if we look here, here's the lot. The front is over here on the right. Okay. Basically what we have here, the house is, this side yard here is at the closest distance it can be from the house next door due to the distance between structures that's allowed, 30.45. So that's the closest it can be. The 2 houses that are giving the front setback is this house over here, which has a 96.11 setback, and this house across the street, which has a 70-foot setback, which is driving this 83.06-foot setback. So that's why, here's the line right here of their buildable area with the ordinance. Their line they're requesting is this one right here. So the difference of the 2 is the 58.23 here.
I'm sorry, can you show us with the hand again, where's the buildable area?
Buildable area is, okay, see here, see the hand?
Like a door wedge.
Yeah, see, it's like right here. This is the buildable area according to the ordinance, right here.
Okay.
This area right in here. Okay? Their request is...
How wide is that?
How wide? At the back, it's 1981, and in the front, it's 28.01. Okay? And
double wide.
Their request is right here, from right here to right here, which is the 58.23 variance.
So, Mike, this corner lot, a lot of times you used to say it's a side yard with a front yard setback, or you had some phrasing for that. But this is a very typical for all of Birmingham and most municipalities that a corner lot has, I call it 2 front setbacks, even though one is a side. It looks like the debate might be how big is that, and we use the averages along the road, and you've got 2 averages, one in this Bloomfield Hills lot that might be extreme or might not be, and then you have the one adjacent to it, and you're taking those averages and that's pushing it back. There is an ordinance that says we can't force a house to be less than 25 feet, but we have 28 feet for the envelope for, looks like the majority of it's more than 25, so they have the ability to build 25. What am I missing? Anything?
No, that's the nuts and bolts of that.
And like, is a regular front setback for a lot this size in Birmingham usually is it always based on an average? Is there ever a minimum, like 30 feet's the minimum or 40 feet's the minimum?
25 is the number if there is no house within 200 feet.
Right.
So the average comes in as 200 feet in either direction from the lot.
Right.
And if there happens to not be any homes within 200 feet of it, then it's a 25-foot
But if it sits in a vacuum. Very good. Other questions? Mr. Reddy.
Mike, if this was an interior lot, what would the side setback requirements be? Say you just, hypothetically, this was in a normal interior lot without it being this sort of unusual door wedge shape forced by another house that's apparently not even in Birmingham. So what would the normal side yard setbacks be?
It's this line right here. You see this line right here? Yeah, this one they can't get closer to. This line here, this south line, is because of the distance between structures. They're required to be the 30.45 feet away. So the balance of their total, their lot width at the front setback line is 121.79. 25% of that is what the required is 30.45. So the balance of that would be 1988 right here.
So they would comply with that if it was hypothetically.
If this was interior lot, they could build from this line right here.
Okay.
To this line right here with the caveat of the lot coverage amount, 30%. They could put the house in that envelope.
So so everything else complies, and this is being driven by the fact that it's sort of an unusual lot in the sense that all these other houses are set way back, correct?
What's driving the distance requirement for this here, for this to be the front setback line, or the side setback line, excuse me, is the fact that this lot over here and the lot across the street have large setbacks.
Thank you.
But just for clarity, this is not a side yard, so.
I understand that.
And in the comment about the other lot being in Bloomfield Hills, those two questions together don't go together, because the one next door, regardless of what city it is, and impacting how big that front setback is, but it is still a front because it's still on a main road. So, if it were a side yard, he wouldn't be here, but it is a corner lot. We can debate whether or not the house next door is a outlier, and if it is an outlier, and we accept that, what would the setback be if that wasn't taken into consideration? But there is no scenario where there isn't a corner lot, right, because we're on a main road.
No, I understand that, but I do think having a residence that's in the equation that's not part of the city, I do think that's relevant, unless I'm missing something.
The city does not believe it's relevant. I think it's a relevant discussion we have to have.
Okay,
So let's go to that question to Mike
Okay.
real quickly. If that lot didn't exist because it isn't in Birmingham, not that that's actually relevant or not legally what we're being told, what would that side yard setback be if that outlier from Mr.
Here you
Reddy
go,
was gone?
right here. Okay, if that lot was taken out of the equation, they would be subject to the 70-foot lot across the street. So their 70-foot minimum would be from here to here.
So they still
that
need-
would be a 45.17-foot variance.
Right, they're building a ranch, and so they're 3 times larger than the current width of the building. If they're going from 25 to almost 75, if we had this scenario, it might be 45 to 80, so it might be double. But even if you take out the Bloomfield Hills outlier, if it's an outlier, you still would need a drastic variance.
Okay.
Almost double the building envelope.
Yeah.
Mr. Hartman.
Yeah, Mr. Morad, also the township property, that's a front-facing Corton Road on the property to the west, which is in Bloomfield Township. Now, if that was the city of Birmingham, that would adversely affect the entire property because of the front setback onto Corton, right? If we'd have to do 200 feet to the west of the property. So even, if we are applying a rule of how difficult this property is, that property to the west would have a significant impact on the side setback because it's a front setback for the adjacent property. Is that correct?
You're asking if you were building a home on the adjacent lot?
No, I'm saying if that adjacent lot to the west of us was Birmingham,
That would not change anything.
It would not change anything. Okay. good.
Because we are using that front setback of that home
As if
in
it's
the
Birmingham.
equation.
Okay.
It is entered into it on the previous slide to this.
Okay.
This one doesn't, this one here does not include that house.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so the problem I was having with this was the 70-foot variance between the neighboring lot and this lot, and that there was a difference from where it was measured. Is that because of the utilities in the front of this lot off Big Beaver?
You mean the difference between the 70 across the street
Right.
and this lot next door?
Right.
The right-of-way does change dimensions there.
Because when I look at it, from an aerial, I don't see any variance from the right-of-way. It looks the same. Regardless of that, when I look at the adjoining lot that we're comparing it to, the 70-foot, when I look at these setbacks, when I look at these setbacks, I'm thinking in consistency and aesthetics for, the street. And if you do an aerial view, this house, the next door house, is consistent with all the houses down Big Beaver. They're all at that same point going forward. And the appellant here is asking for property that goes beyond that, so it would stick out closer to the road. Is that?
Absolutely. I mean, it would definitely, what they're asking for is moving closer to the road.
Well, significant. I mean,
Yes.
like, it's already been mentioned that,
The numbers are there, yes.
to get 25 feet minimum for code to build the house, wider than 25 feet, we only need 4 or 5 feet of a variance to allow that size of a structure.
They don't even need a variance. The 25 feet is a right.
I believe what he's saying on the previous, I'll go back to the slide here, that the buildable area is not a rectangle, or it's an odd shaped, and it's only 19.81 feet in the rear. So the 25-foot house, I don't know where that line would be to get a 25-foot house in there.
Right, right. So a few feet would get that minimum. It's 165 feet long.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, were there other proposals besides the extreme of 70 feet with such a narrow lot, and now going the other extreme and making it enormous amount of variance beyond what the other houses are, it's projecting closer to
The appellate can speak to their plans of how they attack this.
Okay.
I mean, the challenge is that if you're building a ranch and you're limited to 25 feet, you're not going to gain any square footage to try to get more structure. And so 25 by 160 or whatever it is the biggest you're going to get. If you build a colonial or a Cape Cod with some structure on the second floor, you could potentially double your square footage and not have to build a sliver of a home. So I think those two things, and I'm sure the appellant will talk about what his buyers, the homeowner or whoever they're building this for. Any other questions for, please, Mr. Canvasser?
So if we didn't grant the variance, or if they requested a lesser variance, everything between the house and Corton is considered side yard, correct?
Yes, everything on that north side is a side yard with a component of a front yard setback only.
Right. And I'm like, in terms of usable, like pool or pergola or anything else, like nothing could be built in that area, correct?
Correct. That would be what's called a required side yard.
Okay. So now you're talking about just open green space, and you're creating basically a larger right-of-way. And I guess how large is the right-of-way? Because I know there's a sidewalk, there's a little mounded area, and then it kind of dips down.
The width varies here. I could get to that. We can probably see it on this one page right here. Okay, here we go. Okay. Yeah, it does change. It's 120 feet wide is the total right-of-way, so there'd be 60 feet off the center line of the road.
But Corton also
to the property line.
Yeah, Corton angles a little bit.
But here's what it does.
Right?
It does. This side does change, and they're not showing it here what it is, but the right-of-way is different on this side of the street. There is a jog in the right-of-way at this point.
Right, because the sidewalk kind of goes a little way, because the
that's
road
correct.
is a little bit angled there.
That's correct.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Mr. Hurt, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Morad.
Yes.
I know you said this before, but across the street, north of Corton, on the other side of Corton, that is Bloomfield Township or Bloomfield Hills?
That would be Bloomfield Hills.
Okay.
City
Yes.
So the border of Birmingham stops right at this lot.
Yeah, this corner of the lot back here is a property, city corner. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions for the city? Seeing none, sir, your turn.
Good evening, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Brad DeVries. I'm the lead architect at Sapphire Luxury Homes and Landscaping.
Could you give us your address? Oh, maybe you were about to give us your address, please.
Our address is 775 Industrial Court, Bloomfield Township, 48302, sorry. I want to thank you first for your time and for considering our request this evening. As Mr. Morad outlined, we are requesting a dimensional variance related to the corner lot side street setback along Corton Road for the property at 1573 Chesterfield Avenue. We are proposing a new single-family residence designed to be consistent with and complementary to the surrounding neighborhood. I've prepared a brief presentation to clearly illustrate our request and the practical difficulties associated with this lot. Do we have that? You can go to the next slide for me.
1 second here.
Sure.
Okay. Oops, sorry. This is let me go here. Let me try this. There we go. Okay.
All right. Per the zoning ordinance, a corner lot with an abutting interior residential lot along its side street, which in this case is Corton Road, must maintain a setback equal to the minimum front yard side street setback of the zoning district, to your point, 2 front yards. The front setback is defined as the average distance of the homes within 200 feet of the side street. As was outlined, this includes 1935 Corton, which is located in Bloomfield Township, and that one has a 96 and change setback from Corton, and then also 1564 Chesterfield, which has a 70-foot street setback. Per the diagrams that were shown, if you can go to the next slide for me. So basically, because the Bloomfield Hills lot, or Bloomfield Township, I'm sorry, that is our interior abutting lot. So that's what's triggering the corner lot. All of the other lots in this situation don't apply. So it's only this Bloomfield Township lot that is triggering the corner lot setback. So to kind of...
It's not triggering that it's a corner lot. You're just saying it's triggering the distance.
The distance requirement, because it has to be an interior abutting lot. So the opposite Chesterfield one across the street that's factoring into this, it is not abutting, nor is it interior. So that is the only one that's making us follow the 200-foot average setback for the 2 streets. Does that make sense?
Is that accurate?
Well, what he's saying is that lot, if that lot was facing the other way, it would not be that definition of an interior abutting lot. That's the lot that is driving it because it is the interior lot.
But it would still be a corner lot requiring a distance equal to 200 feet.
No, if you have a back-to-back lot, then it's a 10-foot setback.
Correct.
If you have back-to-back.
Right.
Right.
It's only because it's an abutting and an interior lot. So the other Chesterfield lot that's being counted in the setback calculation is not an interior abutting lot. So that's what's triggering it into, I believe it was your point, and it was outlined in our diagram. If that wasn't part of this equation, we're actually only have to be 10 feet for a principal building and 15 feet for a garage or accessory structure from Corton Road, which is even further out, and I have a diagram that shows this, which is even further past the averaged number that was a resultant of what we showed. That is only strictly a result of us coming further to the south to be as far away from Corton Road as possible.
Right. The existing condition is the condition forcing it, and if that existing condition didn't exist, in a perfect world, it'd
No
be a different
variance is
requirement.
even required.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Next slide, please. So this has kind of been touched on. These are the 2 lots that we're being compared to. Something I'll touch a little bit more on. You can see there are very different in proportion and scale to our lot. So there's a very difference from that. And it was mentioned in the presentation, our lot is the remaining of these 3 Chesterfield lots there that used to be 1 lot that actually faced Corton as well. It's been subdivided, so it's kind of uniquely different from that. Next slide, if you would. This was also talked about, so following the ordinance to a T, if we take the 96 feet and the 70 feet from these 2 lots that are being factored into, we're left with a very small doorstop or pie-shaped piece here. It is 28 feet at the front, which does exceed the minimum requirement of 25 feet, but it does taper back to 19 feet. So building a rectilinear space in there would be limited. Also, furthermore, if we do follow that, we are restricted to 13.7% lot coverage as a maximum, and that's irregardless of if we're going up 2 or 3 stories. Understand we can get more square footage, but we're still entitled to dramatically less lot coverage than our neighboring parcels, as well as what the spirit and the intent of the ordinance is meant to allow us for. Next slide, please. Similarly, if we do kind of take the Bloomfield lot out of the equation, we're still left with a very difficult and unreasonable, in my opinion, buildable lot. This is still dramatically below the 30% maximum that's allowed per the zoning ordinance at only 21.2%. Next slide, please. And then this was kind of touched on the presentation, but this is something I want to kind of draw more attention to. The right-of-way on the north side, or not, sorry, the north side, the east side is only 33 feet. At our property, it is 60 feet. So just applying that 70 feet or 83 feet for our lot compared to 1564 Chesterfield, which has the 70 foot, it's a dramatically different, there's already an implicit difference in how that 70 feet or 83 feet, depending on how we look at it, is applied. They're able to be much closer to Corton Road than we would because of this jog in the right-of-way, which we believe is left over from old platting, something that happened with the platting years before any of us were involved. Next slide, please. So you can see here, and furthermore, kind of our point with the 70 feet is if we do follow the 70 feet, that's just part of 1964. Chesterfield across the street, they have 310 feet of frontage. We have 123 feet. So if you take that 70 feet and divide it by the overall width of the lot, we're at, that's 56.5% of our frontage compared to only 22.5% for 1564. So again, it's out of compliance. It's disproportionately restrictive to us than our neighboring parcel that is, who is, you know, in part why we're asking for this variance.
They're also a very narrow lot, right? So they're forced to build greater along that frontage because they don't have the width to do it.
Right. But these conditions, the right-of-way, the splitting of the lots, the scale of the lots adjacent to us, the being on the border of Birmingham and Bloomfield Township, none of which we created. Those are not self-created hardships. Next slide, please. So here's the first time to kind of see what we are proposing. We're proposing a reduced side street setback of 24.83 feet. This allows the property to achieve a 30% lot coverage, which is provided by the ordinance, and I believe it was your point as well. This also allows us to have a functional rear yard that we can enjoy the same enjoyment as other property owners. This would allow ample space for a pool, patio, things that we have already shown. If we do stay within the building envelope that's determined by this, we have all this green space going towards Corton that we can't put anything in. It's basically unusable space for our enjoyment of the property, and I don't think that's what the spirit of the ordinance. Next slide, please. Finally, just to kind of go through a little bit of what's happening here. So we are being compared to two lots to the east and to the west, which are large scale, very different in dimensions. When I feel like a more reasonable approach would be to compare us to the two properties directly to the south along Chesterfield, which we will front. Those are also recently built homes. They are part of this subdivided lot, and they are, while we are proposing a slightly larger or slightly wider home, we are actually proposing to use less percentage of our width than the two to the direct south. So we feel that there is a much better comparison between these three lots highlighted in blue and green than there are to the Chesterfield lot across the street and the Bloomfield Township lot. Again, you know, while we are increasing, if you can go to the next slide for me, while we are increasing the request and we are going, you know, we're asking for a substantial side yard setback, as kind of discussed in the presentation and what I highlighted on earlier, the green line is, or the green box is what we're presenting to be within. If we're just following the, you know, the setback balance between the minimum to the south and then the balance to the north, that's that yellow bar that we're not proposing to be a part of. And then if there was no abutting interior lot, which in my opinion there isn't, with it only being part of Bloomfield Township, then those red lines above there would be the actual setbacks. So we're not trying to push up against what is, in our mind, the perceived actual restrictions of this lot, but we're trying to build something that's thoughtful and characteristic with the neighboring and adjoining homes. Next slide, please. Trying to provide a very thoughtful and sophisticated home that enhances the neighborhood. And you can just flip through the next couple of slides while we're talking. We are proposing a ranch, which we feel is a really nice kind of gateway into the city. This Chesterfield entrance is somewhere that a lot of people come through. And we feel like, you know, as I said, it's very consistent with the houses to the south. And we have the direct support of 1564 Chesterfield across the street. You would receive more comprehensive letters from them, as well as the direct neighbor to our south. So not only do we feel like we're proposing something consistent with the neighborhood and within the spirit of the ordinance, we believe there are unique circumstances to this lot. A lot outside of the city's jurisdiction, a change in the right-of-way, inconsistent lot comparisons for what we're being compared to, and feel that we have gone and created something that would fit with the neighborhood. And with the two direct neighbors to the south and to the east being in support of it, we don't feel like we're causing any harm to anyone. And I strongly I want to thank you for taking the time and hearing my request. I'm sorry if that was long. There's a lot of information to get through. Happy to answer any questions you have, and I hope that you approve our request.
Thank you for your presentation. Can you scroll back to the one, maybe like 4 back, where there's just the blue version of their home on the property? One more right there. So my perception of what's occurring here, and please correct, and by the way, is this a lot that you're building as a spec home, or do you have a homeowner that owns the lot, or what's the story?
This is a model home for us.
Model home, very nice. So it looks like, in my opinion, you can feel free to correct me, that you're trying to preserve enough space for a pool, which is beautiful in your presentation, or at least in your documentation. And the house across the street that is very shallow and wide doesn't have room for a pool. Mm-hmm. And this lot, I'm sure when you bought it, you know, you knew the limitations of the building envelope, maybe not what the averages would calculate out to, but that you didn't have an envelope that would be wide enough to achieve this. But if you were to take this home and make it less rectangular and make it more square, or not even square, but make it so that you're using up more rear yard where a pool wouldn't be feasible, you could somehow have some kind of compromise between what you're asking. Because I think you've identified some challenges with not necessarily the house next door. I mean, it is abutting to a home. The jurisdiction is not really what's important to us, but how the ordinance is designed is to take into consideration other structures and the continuity and the master plan of what that goal is. Sure. So that house is there. It can't be ignored regardless of its change of zip code or change of address. But I feel as that this lot could be built with, and again, a ranch, whole other topic where you do have a footprint that is double the size of its equivalent colonial, that the need for your variance would be reduced, as well as the positioning on the lot, because you're choosing to go wide for the grandeur of that beautiful home you've designed so that you have room for a pool. So I don't see a hardship in that you aren't trying to design or mitigate to the limitations of the lot. I feel as if you're putting in the perfect scenario on a beautiful lot and say, this is what would look beautiful, can we just do it, even though it is almost 3 times the width of the envelope? Is that fair how I'm perceiving it, or no?
I mean, I think there's a couple of things that are worth commenting on. The first is the Chesterfield property and their point of being long and narrow. They readdressed during their process to be away from Cortland and created that condition. So if a pool was part of their plans, they negated that in a sense by reorienting themselves to Chesterfield. If they stayed oriented towards Cortland, again, very different house, but they would have had all the room in the world.
They would have had the width you currently have.
Right. So there's that. And, you know, when we started this project, I mean, the way I look at the ordinance, and there's a difference of opinion here, and we do have, you know, a certain situation where this happened again on the border of Bloomfield Township. But to me, I look at the Bloomfield Township lot, and, you know, I've practiced architecture across many different jurisdictions. I can't think of a scenario where houses outside of that jurisdiction were factored into what's happening on a subject property within that jurisdiction. That seems like a unique circumstance to Birmingham on its own. And like I said in the presentation, if we take that Bloomfield lot out of the equation, there is no interior abutting lot, and our setbacks are 10 and 15 feet, which we're well within. So, while I do see that we are asking for something wide that is in, maybe contrast to what the ordinance and the interpretation of the ordinance is stating, I still think that there's an interpretation where the Bloomfield lot is not considered, we have no abutting interior lot, and we are actually far from our setbacks in this circumstance. And I do have an email that this actually happened back in 2020, and Bruce Johnson, who I'm not sure who he
was the previous
Jeff.
Yeah, building. He was the building official in his day.
This was. It says, Kevin, I agree the properties outside of the city of Birmingham should not be considered when applying Birmingham's zoning ordinance. I confirmed this with our city attorney this morning. I think this interpretation will help your situation.
That's a recent email? That's from when
2020.
Oh, from 2020.
2023, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Bruce is retired, but,
But that was 3 years ago.
Right.
And the interpretation was Bloomfield Township is not part of the equation. And if that's the case, I don't need a variance. I'm not here today. So I think we have a lot of unique circumstances. We've got the road right-of-way. We've got Bloomfield Township may or may not be included and things like that. And
let's see if the other board members have questions, if you wouldn't mind. Please, Mr. Connor.
So my problem with what you're asking for is the significant amount of variance that you're looking for compared to the neighboring lot. You're using the 70-foot marker, and when I look at this and you're talking about the spirit and the intent and so forth, when I'm looking at these houses, and if you could go back one slide, please.
Go back one?
One, yeah.
This one?
Yeah, so you can see the red house is in line with the property next to it, and if you look at a Google view of this, you can see all the houses along there are all right to the point where that red house and the one to the right of that are all at the very same setback.
you're talking to the east?
When you're looking at the picture to the right. Yeah, to the east.
Yep.
Yes. So I'm looking at consistency, aesthetics, and, what would look appropriate for that. And what you're asking to do is to get a very large variance and move beyond those houses closer to Big Beaver. So my question is, you've got a envelope now that is long and narrow with over 3,000 square feet. You could double that and have 6,000 buildable square feet, which is still, very buildable. It's hardly a hardship. There's people who would love to have 6,000 square feet to build on. Why do we need so much of a variance compared to bringing it back away from what you're asking?
Well, I think, there's the point in everything to the east, which is all within Birmingham. That is also on the 33-foot right-of-way, where here we jog to a 60-foot right-of-way. I actually believe, and someone can correct me, and this is just speculative, but I believe these lots were actually part of Bloomfield Township at some point in time, and they were annexed into the city, and that's why there is the jog of the right-of-way there. So again, another unique circumstance there. And then again, it's, we feel we're entitled to 30% lot coverage as our neighbors, and because of the side yard setback, able to have a pool and patios and pergolas, things that are, otherwise permitted in the city within it. If we build back to the back setback and maintain our 30% lot coverage like you're suggesting, there's nothing left at the rear to have a pool or anything like that.
I'm not asking for the extreme of one or the other, but there's no middle ground that I've seen that would bring you in line with the rest of the aesthetics of the road. So again, I'm asking, was there a view of keeping in line with the other homes so that you're not asking to get right out to the edge of the road? And you still have, even if you lined up, I'm only asking 10, 15 feet back from where you are, so you're not pushing all the way out to Big Beaver. Was that considered, or?
I'm not sure if that was considered.
Thank you.
Can I just clarify one thing regarding the letter from Bruce back in 20? Yes, the one lot was in Bloomfield, it was removed, but when you go across, it's still a budding side yard, street-facing side yard. You go across on the other side, they had two back-to-back rear yards, so those two lots on the other side were the 10 and 15 feet where that was being able to come closer, where this one, it is a budding side yard and you're going across the 200 feet. That's where the front yard setbacks came into play. So yes, if this one removed the Bloomfield, the 70-foot would still fall into play going across where the other ones were back-to-back rear yards, to clarify that question.
Very good. Other questions?
Yes.
Start, sir.
In looking at this property, if the literal enforcement of the original ordinance, the width of this property, we're talking about harm to the neighborhood. If we're to build a house like that, there's some beautiful homes on Eaton Street here in Birmingham where we have very narrow lots and very long, and they work really well because they're in context. If we're to put that type of house on this lot, I think it harms the neighboring properties. I think it, I want to pose this as a question. I shouldn't be saying what I think. I should be asking you if you think that the literal enforcement would cause would be detrimental to substantial justice to other neighboring properties. That would be my question.
Yes, and that's exactly the point I'm trying to illustrate with the diagram that's showing our comparison to the neighbors at the south. While we are asking for an 83-foot wide home compared to their 65 and 66 feet, compared to our lot, we're actually proportionately smaller in terms of our width of frontage compared to our buildable width of what we're proposing. And if you read the letters of support from our direct neighbors, that's exactly what they're commenting on. They say, something to the effect of, if you were to build something in the spirit of, or to the letter of the law of what the ordinance is requiring, that would do substantial harm to our properties. We would have effectively a, single wide or double wide style home, significantly less in square footage and lot coverage. It would not be stately. It would not serve as an entrance to the city. Again, we have Bloomfield to the north as well. This is a place that a lot of people enter the city. It's sort of a gateway. We have a beautiful wide home on the other side of 1960, or on the other side of Chesterfield, that's making that great statement. And I think what we're proposing, while we are asking for a significant variance, we do have all of these unique circumstances. We're proposing a lot of landscaping along that. So I don't think that the impact of sticking out closer to Cortland, which has been discussed, a road that's in an angle, a road that jogs in its right-of-way, has different municipalities, is creating something that is causing harm to the neighborhood. Furthermore, if we were to just go up, which we could do, we're significantly lower than that, the impact of being closer to Wharton Road would be magnified. While we are kind of a low-lying ranch, it's going to have minimal impact on that aesthetic coming down and provide a very beautiful home that the neighbors will be excited about.
My challenge is that I recognize there is a challenge to this lot due to factors that you've brought up. I don't believe that a variance that is 3 times the size of the allowable frontage or width of the home is the answer. And I don't hear any mitigation of, we thought about this, we tried this. I mean, you've got a large footprint ranch and space for a large pool and a pergola, so you're filling up the lot, which you're welcome to do. But there's no question that you could build a ranch or you could build a substantial home that took up more backyard and less of the existing front side yard, and maybe compromise the pool that may be part of the marketing of what you're trying to accomplish. But the consideration of the lot you bought and the challenges that it has, and the fact that the city takes the average for the reason that it is an average. And as Mr. Kona pointed out, if you said, we tried to line it up with the homes that are in Birmingham, we felt like it would be reasonable to say, from an aerial standpoint, as you're driving down the street, you would all be at a similar setback point, not from Quarton necessarily, but how the houses line up. That was our basis. Right now, your basis is, I'm not abutting to another property. It should be irrelevant because it's not in Birmingham, and I'm just going to ignore the ordinances and the setbacks and set a perfect scenario without any consideration of the ordinance. And we're not here to ignore ordinances. We're here to give a variance if the lot is unique, and I think you've demonstrated that it's unique, but are you asking for the minimum or are you asking for the maximum? That's how I see it.
I don't believe we're asking for the minimum or the maximum. The maximum, well, it depends, but we're not trying to be as close to Quarton as we believe we could be if this wasn't.
That lot didn't exist, that house didn't exist.
If that house didn't exist.
Right.
We're 15 feet from that. We're still trying to maintain a reasonable setback from Quarton while also being consistent with the neighbors to the south, which I think this is to me, the flaw in the ordinance is we're being compared to enormous lots, one with a super long house on it that is inconsistent with the three across the street from it, or no matter what we build, is going to be inconsistent with what is on this.
Yeah, this is not a platted site where everyone takes a proportional chunk and tries to create perfect half-acre lots. Like, it is unique, there's no question.
But it is the one, whether we're counting that one or the Bloomfield or both, it is what is imposing the setback.
Absolutely, but it is an average, and that's the goal is not to say your neighbor's setback is your setback. The ordinance provides for an average so that you are not impacted by the outlier, you're impacted by the average, and then our board exists for the purpose of saying there is a major outlier in terms of the average, so how can we adjust for that? And that's what we're here for. Let me see if there's any other questions.
One quick question, please. Could you just summarize briefly how the right-of-way jog affects this as well? There's a lot of factors here.
There's a lot of information,
So
yes,
just
yes.
review that for me, please, because that's truly out of your control as well.
Sure. I guess the easiest way to look at it is if, I'm just going to use 70 feet because it's an easier number. The 70 feet that 1564 is set back from Quarton is starting up at that dashed line. As you can see, that dashed line is extending further to the north than this dashed line. That jog in the right-of-way, if we take the 70 feet, we are further back from Quarton than the neighboring house. So the right-of-way is exasperating the 70 feet. That 70 feet is becoming, to our lot, is becoming, what do we have?
You may want to come back here because they
sorry.
can't hear you on record, but I hear what you're trying to accomplish.
Sorry.
Let me try to say it
70 feet, 97 feet, effectively.
So Ron, because it's a cleaver, right, and the thickness of the cleaver is wider than the other lot, they're saying that if it didn't jog, they would have an extra 30 feet, so that the measurement of 70 would have less impact. But if, with that in consideration, that potentially 25 or 30-foot difference, you still are outside that envelope. It's an argument, but it isn't an argument for your current footprint. It's an argument for a larger building envelope.
It's what's creating the buildable envelope.
It's one of the factors, right. Because you're measuring off a different right-of-way.
We're measuring from inconsistent points.
Right.
So the 70 feet is not equal on our lot. So furthermore, it's exemplifying what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
Is that we're taking 70 or we're taking 83 feet average from these other lots, and then we're taking it from a totally different point, and we're applying to that. And it's reducing our buildable width to an unreasonable 28 feet wide, 13% total.
Correct, I understand that, but what the chairman was pointing out too was that there could be perhaps a middle ground here where you're not quite asking as much. Clearly you have unique circumstances, but maybe you're not asking for as much as you have here, but that's up to however we vote, so.
Any other questions for the appellant? Thank you. It was a great presentation, by the way.
Thank you. Trying to make sense of a lot of information.
In the audience or on Zoom, Seeing no hands, we're going to close public comment. Mr. Conister.
Yes, regarding Appeal 2615, 1573 Chesterfield, I make a motion to deny the appeal. I believe that the appeal is excessive in its request for the amount of the variance, and it's, to me, unreasonable. There are unique property or conditions on the property that I would agree a variance would be applicable, but not to the amount that this property holder is asking for. And as I mentioned, this house would now protrude out further than any of the other houses along Big Beaver, given this variance. So that would be, to me, against the intent and spirit of the ordinance. And I don't think that would result in substantial justice, where a middle ground would provide significant amount of buildable lot coverage, buildable coverage on the lot, and wouldn't require the excessive amount of the variance that's being required. So for that reason, for those reasons, I would deny this appeal.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second? I will second the deny. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I can't support this motion. I think, look, I don't love the size of these houses. I think but that's not really what's in front of us right now. I think the fact of the matter is we have a lot that's somewhat irregular shaped. We have a property that we're apparently comparing it to Bloomfield, which isn't even following the same ordinances as Birmingham. We have another lot that's completely orientated differently. We have right-of-ways that are, different sizes. I just think there's so many unique characteristics. This is like the convergence of like how many different things can impact this one lot. And, at the end of the day, I again, sure, can you build something smaller? Yes. But I don't think that's really my choice or our choice to make in terms of how big or small he makes something. The variance request is what it is, and I think we've heard enough evidence to support the factors that we're required to meet. So I can't approve this motion.
Any other discussion? So I agree that this lot has parameters that justify some type of variance. I think the basis for that has to take into consideration all the factors, and I believe that what the appellant is asking for is closer to Corton than it should be based on our ordinance of the average, based on the homes that are adjacent to it, based on the fact that it is a front corner lot, meaning there's two fronts, so we have a larger setback than a normal side yard. I believe that being that its intended purpose is to maintain the rear yard for the ranch house to preserve for a pool and other intent that is compromising the design to be potentially a ranch that sits further from the road. I don't believe there's any attempt or showing of a mitigation of I could go to my extreme, I could ask for an envelope that's double the width and not triple the width, and I have not received any presentation that shows I could do a ranch that's 4,500 square feet in a different orientation. I could do a version that doesn't require a pool. I can do a version that lines up with the neighboring homes, trying to take out the outlier of the Bloomfield Hill setback. I don't see any of that. I simply see my lot's unique. I want to build a gigantic ranch, and that isn't enough for me to provide such a grand variance, which is almost 3 times the, in total 3 times the current building envelope. So it is just too extreme, and I haven't seen any other proposals, possibilities. Again, the footprint would be cut in half in a colonial. And because there isn't an end user yet, there is no reason it has to be a ranch. There's no reason that the footprint couldn't be half if they stack square footage. So I don't disagree. The lot justifies a variance for a reasonable home. I don't believe we've been presented with that reasonable scenario. We have a motion to deny. Can we please call the roll?
Carl Kona,
Yes.
Eric Overmouth,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Ron Ready, okay. Jason Canvaser,
No.
Kevin Hart,
No.
Richard Lilly.
No.
So that's a 3-3. The motion fails. So we now need a new motion.
You want to count?
Start, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. With regard to case number 2615 at 1573 Chesterfield, I would like to make a motion to approve the request for variance. I think the appellant has done an exceptional job of demonstrating the practical difficulties on this site. I know we're not supposed to be talking about self-created situations, but this is definitely something you could never create in this world. This property is very unique, and I don't think there's another property in Birmingham like it. The 30% lot coverage for the ranch seems to be all the ordinance requirements, with this exception of the setback, are met. The requirements have all been met. As I mentioned, the 30% lot coverage we're under that, and I think that helps to establish the fabric of the house in fitting with the neighborhood. I mentioned earlier, if it was applied literally, that the ordinance would have made a tremendously negative impact on the property, crowding the area to the south and not in keeping with the balance of the site. I think there's harm to the neighboring properties if this isn't properly developed. Mentioned the unique circumstances within the city of Birmingham. We are again we have a very unique property in its proximity to Bloomfield Hills and to Bloomfield Township. If this variance is approved, I think we are getting substantial justice to the owners and to the neighboring properties, and I would tie it to the documents that were provided.
A motion to approve. Second. We have a second from Mr. Canvaser. I don't think there's any point in the discussion. Let's call the vote, please.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser,
Yes.
Carl Kona,
No.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Overmouth,
No.
Ron Ready.
No.
Sorry you don't have your variance.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Good luck. Do we have any other business that we need to talk about? Seeing none, anybody in the audience or on Zoom that has a topic that is not related to our current appeals that would like to discuss them? Seeing no hands, we have a motion to adjourn. Seeing Mr. Kona.
Second.
Second, Mr. Canvaser, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.